Tutorial number 2, taper cutting. In this tutorial we'll show you how we can add tapers to the shape which we defined in tutorial number 1. So we're now in the Wire EDM software, and if I double click on the go round command, the first thing that I can do is, if I go to the options page, before I do anything else I'll just set my offset to the correct side, which is right. On the option page I can set an initial wire angle of say 10 degrees. So now when we're cutting that, that's just put a single wire angle on there of 10 degrees, and we can see the effect of that. And in its simplest form, when we post-process that, then we would get a basically 2-axis shape but with taper angles. If we go back to the plan view, what we can also do is, using what we call notes, we can add instructions to various positions around that shape. So let's say, for instance, that along this top edge here we want the wire taper angle to change from 10 degrees to a different value. So what we do is choose from the toolbar the note command, and you'll notice that as I move the mouse around, it's locking on to the end points of the line and arc segments. So I want the system to change the wire angle as it's moving to this point here. So I click, and we've got various options. The one we're going to look at first is changing the wire angle. So we tick that we want to change that. We set the value of the wire angle, 20 degrees, and then we can either specify that we want the system to reach 20 degrees with an XY movement. So if I say yes, in effect it's going to start from 10 degrees here and with movement go to 20 degrees. If we clicked no to here, it would stay at 10 degrees and then just move directly to 20 degrees. So we can now see the effect of that with movement from the last position to the note position there. And we can carry on adding notes to do different things at different places. So for instance, here we could have the wire angle changing to 0 degrees but with no XY movement. So this is 10 degrees going around to 20, and then at this position here cancels the wire offset angle altogether and carries on round back to the beginning with no taper. Let's change the wire angle again at this point to 10 degrees with XY movement, yes. So you can now see the effect of that. If at any time I choose to remove a note, then I can simply click on where the note is and choose delete note here. As well as being able to set the wire angle using notes, we've got other settings that we can use to change the style of the radii. So the standard method of creating a radius using taper cutting is called a standard conic, and what that produces is a section of a cone. But we have another method which is what's called a cylindrical arc, and what that does is it produces a section of a cylinder. So here we can see that I've added a note to give me a cylindrical radius, which is the section of a cylinder rather than the section of a cone. Another method of creating corners is to what's called a programmable radius. So here I can actually specify the size of the radius that I want. So here you can see we've got a completely different corner cutting condition. So Using the standard go round command, we added on a initial wire angle, and then we used the note command here to add machining instructions around that shape. And then when we're happy with that, then we can see the effect of that on the shape there. Then of course when we post-process, depending on which post-processor and which machine tool we've got, then here we can see the wire angle changing at various positions around the job. We could also, using the note, create a constant UV on or off. So this will have a further effect on the transition between various parts. This isn't often used, but can be for complicated, intricate shapes where the wire might produce a shape which is impossible to remove from the material. So that ends this tutorial concerning taper cutting.